Tara, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Rula. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Now, Miss Tara Keskesiadis, did I say that correct?
No, and not many people do. It's absolutely
Keskesiadis.
fine.
Keskesiadis.
I can't even tell you how many times I dreaded at high school for the teachers to say that on the speeches. Or
Oh, really?
it was,
Look, when you separate it in three lots, you can read it out correctly. Bit of a tongue twister, but it's still a good look. It is a good surname. You could have been Opopopopolos.
it's definitely very unique, and I own it.
Good on you, Tara. Good on you. Tara, look, you've got a huge and unique journey that I want to bring out there to the audience, especially to women. I believe that you're very inspiring because you're not only a mother. So, how old is your boy at the moment?
He's 6 years old. He's
He's six
six.
years. Okay. He's a little darling. So, you're a mother, you're a career woman. You've done so much in your not so old life yet, not as old as me. Some people can take a lifetime to do what you've done. You're a speech pathologist. I want to touch on first, before becoming a speech pathologist, there's a quote that I read in your book because today is all about your book. But I just want to go back how it all started. And in your book, I read a quote where it says, um, if you ain't where you want to be, you haven't become who you need to be, but more importantly, I've always been aware of the strength in my voice, but now it carries a clear purpose. Now, when I first was introduced to Tara, it was back a long time ago in Oakley at Vanilla, where you won a competition singing. So you've got a very powerful voice. But when
Yes.
I follow your journey now, I haven't quite seen you on the stage, but you are using your voice in for different reasons. And again, there is a purpose, a clear purpose. So, speech pathology is what we're going to touch on first. But I want to ask you, with your singing career, has that been put completely on a hold at the moment to pursue what
Uh,
you're doing now, or is it going to be a balance in the near time future?
Singing is something that has been my passion since I was a really little girl. So it's not something I will ever give up, but it is something that I stopped doing for the time being, just so that I can concentrate on growing my business and so I could write my book. And also because I became quite sick and I was recovering from surgeries as well. So it is something that will always mean the world to me. And it's never going to be on the back burner. It's just something that I need to make more time for sure.
Okay, can we touch a little bit about the period when you weren't well? We don't have to go in depth, so I'm going to leave that up to you how far you want to go about the condition that you were going through. During that period of time, how did you feel because you were a mother as well?
Absolutely. And I think that was the hardest part about finding out that I had a brain tumor, it was at a really crazy time. So it was at towards the beginning of COVID, when everybody was still locked in their homes and we had all of the restrictions and we couldn't really be within 1.5 meters of anybody. So it was a really terrifying time to find out that I needed to have brain surgery, because I was told that nobody could accompany me to the hospital. I would be in there for 5 days. Nobody was allowed to visit me. I couldn't see my son. And at the time, he was only 2 years old. We were really close, and I was very attached to him, as he was to me. Being a first time mum, that love is just everything. And so when I found out I was going to be without him for 5 days, and I didn't know how I would wake up from that surgery. I didn't know what deficits I might have. I didn't even know if I would wake up, because brain surgery is such an intricate thing and there are always possibilities that something could go wrong. So I was very fearful that my future might be completely different to what it was before the surgery. Being a mum and navigating that afterwards was terrifying. It was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. And I do feel so guilty that I wasn't really present in my son's life that 6 months following the surgery. I mean, I was there, but I was in so much pain and I was still recovering, and we were locked in the house as well. So it was just so overwhelming to try and do both at the same time. But at the same time, it made me probably the most resilient version of myself I've ever been.
And do you think that's what changed then the vision and you also decided to start on a book?
Absolutely. So the book, it actually started as a journal. When I first had my brain surgery, I came out of it and I couldn't really remember things very well. And Gabriel had just started talking, and I didn't want to forget all of the things, the funny things that he said. And you know what kids are like. They say these really funny one-liners, and it's so good. I used to write them down because I was so scared that I would forget them. So what happened was I started writing down all these funny things that Gabriel said, and then just experiences that I had along the way. I used to record them in a journal so that later on I could look back and read them, and tell Gabriel about them in case my memory started to decline even more. So
Oh,
that was the
wow.
reason why I started to write them. And I'm getting emotional.
That's
Um,
okay.
why I started to write them. And so eventually I went down this path of, self-discovery and getting to the root cause of all of these traumas and feelings that I was having, and realizing that they really did stem from childhood. So what I did was start to try and unpack them. I went through this self-discovery of personal growth and reading all of these books and watching all of these videos and listening to podcasts, trying to get myself out of this rut. And ultimately that's what led to me turning this journal into a book, is that I thought, look, there are so many people that are going through similar things. It's not just me. Everybody has their own traumatic times and difficult times and pain that they experiences, but we can't let these circumstances dictate the rest of our lives. We can't become a victim of our circumstances. We need to do something about them. We have to own all of these excuses that we make up in our own minds and start to work straight away, because everything can change in just the click of a finger, the way it did for me. I learned that I had the brain tumor, and within a week I was at St. Vincent's Hospital having it removed. And then again, another 6 weeks later, I had to do it again. So everything became so much more clearer to me after I realized that I could possibly die.
And you've got
So
the 2-year-old. Let's go back to another period of time. So I'm just going to go back a little bit now, just because I know you're getting emotional. And I want to thank you for feeling safe enough to open up. And I think that's really important. And I think it just goes to show how resilient and strong you are. So again, I
thank you.
want to thank you. Um, Before all this, your career in speech pathology, you started working with children, and these
That's
children had
right.
disabilities. So tell us about your experience then.
Absolutely. So when I was finishing my placement, I did one day of placement at a special school in Seaford, and it was for children who had physical and intellectual disabilities. And after that one day, I just fell in love with it. It was really sad and really confronting, seeing little tiny children, 5 and 6 years old, in wheelchairs and unable to move and unable to speak and get across their message. So frustrated from not being able to communicate what they wanted and what they needed. So I found it to be my purpose. I needed to help these children. I wanted to give them a voice. And thus, I began to work at that school. I was very lucky to be offered a job there after I interviewed, finishing my master's degree in speech pathology. And I worked there for a couple of years.
Wow. That is so, so amazing. And again, not everybody can work with young children, particularly with children who have disabilities, chronic illnesses. It does take a strong person, and you hadn't even become a mum yet. So now, yeah, now fast forwarding to becoming a mum, just to put a smile back on your face and just make it come a little bit. Tell us a little bit about Gabrielle, and how does Gabrielle feel about his mum?
Well, how does he feel about his mum? Hopefully he loves me as much as I love him. He does think I'm a bit annoying sometimes because I do sing around the house a lot, and he tells me to be quiet. But he's just a really cheeky 6-year-old little boy. And to be honest, everything that I have done since the moment he was born was for him. And I hope that one day he can see how hard I worked just to show him that this is what people do. We don't become a victim of what life has thrown at us. We push through and we work harder and harder and we get what we want.
So when you talk about becoming a victim, and I believe you mentioned that twice, and I did read that quote, and I totally understand the quote, becoming a victim. Do you think many people become victims or feel like if I look at myself as the victim, it's a safer way rather than focusing on what they're truly feeling? Is it like a
Absolutely.
safeguard? Because I've noticed that, like, there's a family where there is three brothers. One said to me one time, I'm not going to be the victim, so I'm going to turn this around. The other one was living in that stage of feeling like the victim.
Yeah. And
So they both grew up in the same environment. But what is it that keeps someone feeling like the victim? Because I'm sure deep
safety.
inside them, safety, that's him.
Absolutely, it's safety and feeling comfortable in where you are right now. But we all know that experiencing discomfort and becoming uncomfortable is the way that we grow. And some people just want to become stuck in their misery. It's like a spiral, it's a downward spiral. I'm safe here. I don't know what will happen outside of this. So I'm just going to stay where I know I belong and I'm comfortable. And I've seen this before. So let's just remain in this spot. Whereas other people have a different mindset to that and they want to experience what it could be like outside of this little bubble. So it's all dependent on your mindset. You can have a lack mindset or you can have one of experience and wealth and growth.
What changed in your journey from feeling a victim to becoming who you are today?
It was definitely when I found out that I had the brain tumor, 100%. Before that, I was making endless excuses, and I used to do it with singing as well. I always thought I wasn't good enough. I thought I had tried enough, and I thought I had tried really hard, but in reality, I didn't. I always had this mindset of, oh, I'll be perfect when I have my ideal body and I will be happy and perfect and I will try harder when I have a really good and sturdy committed relationship. And I always based this on external circumstances. I always based my happiness and my excuses on external circumstances. So what changed was when I realized that I might not be here next week, I had to stop doing that. I had to start living for now and not thinking I'm only going to be happy when I feel or look a certain way. So everything really did change for me in that moment.
So I guess that it's true, letting go of the past and live in the present is when you move forward, because a lot of people do carry the past and don't let go of the past. And I've seen that on timeless and times around a lot of people that I know, and it does. I can see how it holds them back. I've done it myself, and then it's like, you know what? I've really got to let that go and just
Mm,
do this.
yeah,
Change
absolutely.
my mind and how I think and what I do, and try and drop that fear. But I will be honest, there are times when, even though I say I'm going for this, there is that little niggly on that side going, oh, maybe. And then you hear friends going, just keep going, keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always going to be some sort of fear or doubt in your mind about something, but that's what should give you the fuel to keep going. That's definitely something that I believe. If it's not scary, it's not worth it.
Okay, going now back to speech therapy. As a speech pathologist, your business, you actually go to people's homes?
I do. So I started a mobile speech pathology business where I go to children's homes, schools, and their daycares, and I offer services, so speech therapy services to them, and help them to communicate in the best way that they can for themselves. So again, a lot of these children are nonverbal and may have a ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder. So they're neurodiverse. And we use a lot of augmentative and alternative communication to teach them how to communicate with other people.
Wow. Wow. That's all I can say with that. Now let's talk about the book that
Sure.
changes it all, the book that people should read. It's very, very positive. And through your social platforms, there's a lot of times when you put a photo up and you'll have a quote in there. And it's actually really nice to read. They're all very, very positive. So it would be fair to say that you also use your own book to keep inspiring you on a daily basis.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. It's definitely something that the method that I use and I talk about in this book is something that helped me to get to where I am today. So, as I said before, I did a lot of research. I started reading a lot of books, listened to a lot of different speakers, motivational speakers, podcasts, and I came to this understanding that they were all using very similar tools to get to where they wanted to be. So what I did was I just condensed all of these tools that I found and created my own pathway, which is what I call the 777 pathway. And that's detailed in my book, and it teaches you how you can turn your pain into your true purpose.
And the book is on sale at the moment on Amazon. Where else can people
It,
purchase your book?
you can buy it on Amazon at the moment and will be available as a hardcover copy as well on Ingram Spark very soon.
Oh, bring up that book again. Bring it back up so we can look at your book. There it is, Turning Pain into Purpose. What's one of your favorite quotes or a quote that many times out of nowhere it just keeps popping up?
Um, it's actually on the back of the book. Um,
Okay, go for it.
it's it's time to decide what kind of life you want and say no to everything that isn't that. That is my favorite quote from the whole book, um, because it's ultimately the truth. If you keep saying yes to everything that doesn't align with your goals and your purpose, you're always going to be stuck in the same cycle.
And with the quotes in the book, is there also poetry in the book? Is there a little bit of storytelling? Tell us what we're going to find in your book.
Absolutely. So it's not just about the 7-7 pathway. It's
Hang
also
on,
about my.
I'm gonna stop you there. 7-7 pathway. You've said that twice now. Please explain.
Yep, it's the 777 pathway. Sorry, 777 pathway. And I'm not sure if you are familiar or with
No,
angel numbers, you've come
no.
across a very special path. So the reason that I named it the 777 pathway is because when I was ultimately praying and looking for something to keep going for, I started to see the numbers 777
Wow.
everywhere. Every single where that I looked, I saw it on number plates, I saw it on buildings, I saw it anywhere that you could think of, on a receipt, at a restaurant. Everywhere I looked, I would see 777. And I started to research, why am I seeing this number sequence everywhere I'm looking? It just didn't make sense to me. So I looked it up. And ultimately, the meaning of 777, as an angel number, means that good things are happening, good things are coming. So it changed my mindset in that every time I saw this number, it led me to believe that it's okay, no matter what's happening right now, something good is going to happen soon, something good is coming. Um, and so that's why I called it the 777 pathway.
That's really good. I like that. I do believe in things like that. There's been a time when you were just saying that, but the 777, I remember a friend of mine saying, when you see a white feather, it's like a little angel. And
Yeah,
I remember one time going, oh my goodness, today I've just seen multiple feathers everywhere. And
yeah,
and I did read somewhere you should never look at it as coincidental, um,
absolutely.
or
No coincidence.
luck. It's not. It's not. It's something, it's the universe is telling you something somehow. And I know a lot of people don't believe in all that. But, as you
Yeah,
said earlier, when you go through a scary moment in your life, you want to seek something to hold on to, something, whether it's spirituality, whether it's 777, the angel number. We all need something, and I've seen this even with people that will say to me, well, I don't believe in the higher supreme. I'm an atheist. And then I look at that person, I think, you know what? You're not really an atheist. You are, in the sense of you don't believe because you have never seen. But when you look at you as a, when I look at that person as a person, it's like if you were really an atheist, you wouldn't be who you are. Such a loving, nurturing human being. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah, it's how the mind perceives things.
absolutely.
Um,
I always started to see those that that number sequence as a message to myself at the time. What was I thinking at the time? What was I ruminating on? And then I would affirm that that message was for me to tell me I was heading in the right direction.
are we going to see another book from you?
Absolutely. I will not reveal that at the moment, but I am
Are
writing it
you,
right now.
I
I
was going to
guess it's a
say, are you
little
working on it? It's,
it's become a little bit addictive. And it's funny because I never thought that I would write a book. But when I was younger, I used to write all the time. And I even submitted a piece of my work when I was only 9 years old to this publishing company, and it got published in this really big storybook. So it's funny how something that I never really thought I would do has come back into my life at the age of 36. But it's incredible. It's completely turned my life around. It's helped me to heal as well. Writing this book also helped me to overcome all of the things that I held inside for so long. It helped me to heal those, and now I hope that it's going to heal other people.
that is such a beautiful story. And Tara, I just want to thank you once again for sharing the story. I love the book concept. I love how you captured those sentences from your son. And being a yaya, that I can honestly say I have heard those little short sentences. It's like, what did he just say? Or what did she just say? Or where did that come from? And I'm thinking now, oh, I could kick myself because now when I try to remember, I can't.
Yeah.
And I should have written it down, maybe dated it and said, look, this is what you said. And I think that's really wonderful. And I hope a lot of women who get to see and hear your story are inspired to do the same. And even if they don't want to write a book, just to capture those sentences. And
Oh, absolutely.
also, yeah. And also, as a speech pathologist, how do people get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me via my website. It's voicedspeechpathology.com.au.
Great. And all your social media platforms, where do they follow you?
So I don't have a Facebook at the moment, but I will be making one. I have an Instagram where you can follow the link to purchase my book. And it's my name, Tara Keskesiadis, which might be a little bit hard to find, but once you've found it.
I think that's great. Tara, thank you so, so much. And please, I do want to continue with you following your journey. When the next book comes out, I would like to be one of your first people to bring it out and create that awareness. Um, and it's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you once again for feeling safe enough to open up and tell us about your story.
Thank you so much. I'm really humbled by that, and I feel that being vulnerable is how we become the most powerful version of ourselves. So thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.